All right, guys. So getting ready to getting ready to get the lead out. By golly, I'm gonna get rid of this lead because my A-pillar seams are cracked, and I don't have all the stuff to re-lead it. So I'm gonna sheet metal it up, and then put body filler on it. All right. Well, so I'll show you here up close, just in case you've never done this before. I know some people have. So before it turned blue, it's still hot, you can feel it, but anyway, that spot of a weld right there is surface rusted from that lead being cracked and the water getting down in there. So it's a good thing I took it out of there. So now I can go in here and I'm going to blast my drip rails with my little portable blaster, and I'm going to go ahead and hit this too and up in here. But I'm going to take some sheet metal and I'm just going to cut it out to where it fits in that channel, to where when I lay it in there it's even with the top and the bottom, and then I'll weld it and grind it so it'll be like one smooth transition. But anyway, that'll keep me from having to mess with any lead or have to worry about a crack coming back in there. So it's always a good idea to get that stuff out of there, especially A-pillar. The A-pillar usually always cracks. Like every time I've drug a car in, it seems like the A-pillars are cracked. But anyway, so got one more to go. It doesn't take that long to do. It's just a, one of these bottles of gas here that you can get at just about anywhere, any hardware store, even Walmart has it. But I do like the clicker. It's a lot faster than like the old school ones that you had to actually light yourself with a lighter or whatever. But Anyway, do the other side now. All right, guys, so pretty much on this drip rail, melted the lead out. I'm going to be blasting a drip rail, and then I'm going to go ahead and blast all down in this area, and then I'm going to blow it off and then wipe it down with wax and grease remover. And then at that point, I will use weld through primer and spray this all down there, because you can see down in the body in here, but that is how crude they're put together from the factory when you get the lead out. That's a hole. So they just did a little weld right here and then filled all that up with lead. So this hole in the body has been there since it was new. But this A-pillar is actually in further than the roof. So the roof actually comes out further than this. So technically I could overlap that metal a little bit. So what I did was I took the flexible ruler here and stuck it up there, and I've got a pretty big gap in there. So anyway, at this point I'll take some sheet metal. I've just got a lot of scraps here. I'll have to clean all the rust off this. It's been laying outside, but anyway, I'll basically take a piece of sheet metal, because this has a curve to it, and I'll pretty much stick it up there. But I do want a piece that I can fold the end around, so I'm going to use these flat-ended pliers here, and I'm going to break a 90 into that, just bend a hard 90 in that, so it will actually go up in there a little bit, and I can weld it on the back too. So what I'm going to do to try to get this contour the best I can, I'm going to bring this out a little bit and just bend it around that A-pillar right there. So I've got the contour all the way to there. So you can pretty much, when you get the main piece all cut out and, you know, edged up a little bit, and then bend the 90 in it and everything, you can start back here and start welding it in, and then just as you're welding it, this piece gets hot and it's easy to shape. So you can, you know, push it down and tack it, and then push it down and tack it, you know, move it however you need to do, because it'll be hot at that point. But anyway, so that's pretty much a simple repair to do on this. But you could, in my case, I can bring that sheet metal down a little bit. So I'm probably just going to bring it down over this just a little bit. By the time I weld and grind that, it will have a little dip to it, but by the time I put body filler on it, it will be even, because this is out higher than this A-pillar. So I would highly recommend everybody to do this to their Tri-5 Chevy, because the lead just always cracks here. And you can see why. I mean, they just got a little bitty, what is that, 3/4 of an inch of a weld right here of this whole panel. So you're going to get a lot of this action, you know. The frames under these cars, the original frames, are pretty flexible. Like, they really, really move around a lot, which in turn makes the body move around on. So anyway. All right, guys, so I got it all cut out, and I've pretty much shaped it. Now, to shape these little finer little pieces like this, I usually use a 90-degree angle grinder with 36 blaze, 2-inch disc on it. But I also use 10 snips if I have to notch an end or a corner or something, you know. This does create heat when you're working with a little part like that. But anyway, after, you know, sitting here fitting it and everything, now I'm just dry fitting it right now, because I still got to blast it. I'm not going to make a mess today. It's late in the day, so this will be the first thing I do when I come out in the morning, is make the mess, so I can work in it all day, you know what I mean? But anyway, after kind of working on it and tweaking it a little bit, that's pretty much what I'm putting in there. And it does overlap this A-pillar a little bit on the bottom, but as I stated, you know, this is actually in further than the roof. This is kicking way out, so by the time I weld it and then grind it, I don't even have to grind it real nice. I will still be putting filler on here. They had lead way down here, so it was really deep. But it's just the way it is, just, you know, things that they did. But anyway, I'll weld both sides of that and up in back in here, and then I'll go in here with a 36 grit disc, and I will shape everything, grind the welds and everything, get it worked in pretty good. And then back here it'll be hard to get to, so I will use either, you know, the belt sander, or I will use a die grinder with a burr bit on it. I have all different burr bits that I can get up in there and use to fix that. So anyway, it is more work, but this is the stuff that you know, if you're building your car to keep and you want it to last, this is the kind of stuff you need to do, because I don't want to spend the time, you know, have the car all painted and everything, and then a crack show up there. It just really suck, you know. But anyway, I will be fixing both sides. Now, this is probably total, by the time it's done, both sides and ground, there's going to be a couple hours in it. I don't think that's too bad to not have to worry about a crack later on. So to me, 2 hours is definitely worth spending the time on, but I'm good with it. All right, guys, so it is Saturday, October 9th, I think is what it is, 2021. So I'm having issues with, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's my GoPro or my computer. I don't know what's going on. I'm importing videos to the computer that I take with the GoPro, but I'm getting gray boxes and they don't do anything when you click on them. They won't open up, they won't play, they won't do anything. So I've tried just about everything that I know to do. My mom got me a new card to put in the GoPro, so I took the old one out and put the new one in to see if that would fix it. It's still doing it. I've updated the GoPro. So this morning, well, I say this morning, like 20 minutes ago, I decided to take the GoPro, plug it in, and just put it all back to factory settings. So hopefully this works. Now when I do videos, I do, you know, several through the day, and I import them. And, you know, out of, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, there's maybe 1 or 2 that are workable, they're usable. So I guess what I'm going to do is just try to put a couple of them together. Yesterday, I hope it's one of the videos, I melted out the lead in the A-pillars. I am putting in just a bridge in here of sheet metal, you know, because I had a crack in the lead seam, so I'm just basically doing that. But hopefully this video works. But we had, you know, almost 4 days of rain. We had 3 days of rain straight in a row, but there was one day that was cloudy all day and there was calling for rain, but it never happened. So, you know, I wasn't going to push a bare metal body out here in the carport and work on it, because it really got rusty. I'm not really getting rust on the car. I'm only getting rust in areas that I've touched, like my body has touched, which is typical. But anyway, so I'm not really worried about that. I've still got to go over the entire car with my cut brush, so I'm not worried about it. So I've been on hold because I ordered, I don't know, 6, 7 things maybe from eBay from all different people. Just whatever they had. If they had good ratings, feedback, and the price was good, and it was a buy it now price, and it was in the USA, I bought it. But I bought a bunch of body shop type stuff. Sandpaper, seam sealer, roll-lock discs, all that type of crap. So I've been on hold. I can't finish grinding welds because I'm out of the 2-inch Norton Blaze roll-lock discs. And I did get my primer in, but I still today, the mail has run, and I still haven't got any of those body shop supplies, and I ordered them last Thursday and Friday. So, and it's not coming from one person. This is what's really kind of blowing my mind right now. So yesterday I drove to the paint store, and I got a few sheets of sandpaper to get me through. Anyway, so that's why you haven't really seen anything from me. I've just been on hold, and then we had almost pretty much a week. I didn't work on the car. I did do videos inside the house, but, you know, didn't really get a whole lot done because I need to paint those parts. It's restoration side of, you know, little parts and pieces. So, you know, I have to paint something to where that part is finished, and then I can put all the videos together of how I got it to that point. So I've got lots of little videos. Some of them didn't work out, but I did basically refilm them again and try it again. But so I will try to get those up the best I can. But anyway, so right now I'm getting ready to go ahead and finish tacking in the I call it a bridge. These A-pillars, when you bust them apart, you know, melt the lead out of them, they're really crude, and that's why they crack. These cars are pretty flexible anyway, but I mean, you can see right here after melting the lead out, that is the only weld the factory put in there, and that is their grind marks right there. That is not mine. And usually the A-pillar's in a little bit from this, so your curve coming down would go way down. That's why the lead is usually down into here. But anyway, I melted all the lead out, and I basically built little sheet metal pieces that go in there, and I will, you know, weld it all in, and then I'll grind it, and then I'll use plastic body filler. But fully welding that in and encasing it in is going to keep it from moving as much. So, you know, it's going to last a little bit longer. I don't have the stuff to do lead, so I have to do it this way. But I've got all kinds of metal work still to do on the car. I have done a little bit, but I haven't finished grinding all the welds because I'm waiting on my Norton Blaze disc. So it's a little frustrating, but anyway, I'm gonna get started here. Set the camera back up. This is one of them videos that's really boring to people, so this is about the part where you fast forward probably. I've already tacked it a little bit. Now, I will say, I would definitely use weld-through primer down in here for corrosion protection down inside the, the inside structure of the roof. I am out, and I called O'Reilly's, and they do not have a can there. They had to order it, so it's not going to be in for a little bit. So I'm not going to mess with it. I'm just going to go ahead and continue on and weld it. So normally I would put that stuff in there, but I don't have any, so I'm not going to do it. I'm just not going to mess with it. Here we go. And let that cool a minute. I normally tack away from each other, but on this it's all such tight, areas. I'm not really worried about it. Any warpage I'm going to get, it's not going to be that excessive because of where it's at actually. Anyway, you get the idea. So instead of sitting here and doing a video for 10 minutes of me welding all this crap, then you get the idea. All right, so working on the dog leg area here at the back. So this had popped out a little bit from the weight of the car coming down. A lot of the stuff's rusted out, so there's no support right here. So what I did was I put the floor jack back there, and I just put it up to it and then give it one little pump just to give it a little, support. But I come back in here and dollied this back down because it does have a little curve to it. Anyway, I went in here and I started cutting stuff out, cutting away the bad. And anyway, the first thing that I noticed was gone was the top of the rocker right here. So I cut away the bad, and I got into a little bit of both sides. So it's not just a flat little piece of metal. It has edges I have to do. Now the inside edge has an angle to it, but this is pretty much straight up and down. So what I did was I took some poster board and pretty much figured it out, trimmed it out with scissors and everything, and then I broke my bends in there. I just used some cheapy, flat pliers to get up in there and put the hard bend in there. But anyway, I've got my template fitting pretty nice for a cap. So at this point, I took some sheet metal, and it's just scrap sheet metal I have, and I've sanded it clean on both sides. And then I flattened this back out, and I laid it on there and traced it out, and then I put in, marked it where the bends need to be. So at this point, I'm going to go in here. I'm not going to use 10 snips because it'll end up, putting some little kinky edges in it. So I'm going to use a cutoff wheel, and I'm going to cut this out. And then I got to dig my sheet metal break out, and I'm going to try to get the bends put in that it needs. But this cap will be the first thing I build, so I'm going to get that done and get it welded in first. And I'm kind of stuck because I'm out of my 2-inch blaze discs that I like to sand my welds with, or grind my welds with. These all that I have left is some pretty used up ones. They're pretty trashed, so I'll go in here with my 10 snips, and I'll cut these in the shape of a stop sign, you know, or an octagon, and try to get a little bit better meat out of it. But I was sure hoping those would come in today, but they're not going to. I think the hardest part to duplicate is going to be this channel that your tack strip goes into. It actually stops right here, and then it just kind of curves back out. So that's like where the bottom of the tack strip would be. I've got to try to duplicate this, so I'll have to end up cutting this off and duplicate that somehow. I can't really do that in my brake because it's two 90-degree bends basically. It's like a square with one side going, so C-channel. So I'm going to have to try to figure out what to do there. I don't know if I'm going to have to bend two pieces and then weld them together and grind them. I may go through my sheet metal and see if I can find an old piece of something that maybe has something that's like that. Try to section it in there. I just don't know yet. I'm going to have to do some digging, but I can go ahead and cap this off right now, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Here we go. Alright, I don't want to have to dig all this crap out of here, so I just kind of pushed my bead roller out of the way, and that way I can get in here a little bit. Okay, there it is. I got a soft bend on that side and a tight one here. So anyway. Go back in there and straighten that, or tighten that bend up more. A little bit more. Will work. All right. So there's the piece, you know, just sitting on there, but it's pretty much fit. I actually need to go in here with my blaster again and blast more of this area, so I think I'm about out of media too, so that kind of sucks. Anyway, so I'm going to get that rocking and rolling here. All right, so there's the cap in, and it's all ground down, and then I hit it with 80 grit on the DA as best I could. You know, some of the areas you can't get to, but it is now capped back off. Now there's only, I don't know, 2 or 3 more hours of fabrication and welding and grinding to do. Maybe more than that. Well, it gets real intricate. I'll show you something here. So look at this area right here. I'm gonna put this construction paper in there behind there so you can see the almost like a W shape that's chopped out of that. So I pretty much duplicated it, although it's not perfection. It's pretty close. So there's my patch piece right there. Those are the fold over tabs for your tack strips for your windlace. So anyway, this is pretty much how intricate this gets, trying to build all this stuff. It's not too bad if you have a sheet metal brake. It's not too bad. You know, you can put your bend in there that you need. Now I will say, if you got one of them Harbor Freight brakes like I have, if you don't lock down after you put the sheet metal in there, you can lock it down. You'll feel it lock in, and then you bend it. If you don't lock it and you leave it loose, it'll put a softer bend in it right here to duplicate how soft their bend is. Now, this metal's pretty soft up here. It's not, you know, it's got pits. Nothing's through, so I'm just going to roll with it. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and put start tacking in this piece. The thing I'm wondering about, I don't know if at this point it curves all the way or if it needs to have a curve down here a little bit further. If so, I'll have to slice this through the bend and then bend it and then re-weld it and grind it to get the bend I need in it. But anyway, I'm basically going to put a couple little tack welds on there to hold it, and then I'm going to test fit my piece I made and see what it looks like. It was quite the mess building this inner structure piece because of the way it's made, but I got it working pretty decent, I'll say. I mean, I got lots of little intricate things to still do after I get this in, but this is just to get this piece firmly in there and ready. So I've drilled holes in it here to plug weld to the new channel here, and then I put some self drillers in here as well to suck this piece up to the flange there. That's what it looks like from the back. So now I got holes drilled for plug welds down here and all up through there, and then I think I'm just going to go in here and weld this up solid right here after all this other's done, and that way it'll take care of that hole there. Just kind of have to wing it a little bit because it's pretty intricate in some of it. Now, I don't know if this is supposed to be here from the factory or not. It looked like it had remnants of what was a flange here, so I've added a flange on here and folded it up, drilled plug weld holes there. So I will use pliers and suck that in there and then plug weld that as well. So it should have plenty of strength back in it. But man, this is I'm probably 4, maybe 5 hours in this thing so far. But I mean, I'm getting there. Then I'll have to go back after I get all this put in, and then I've still got to cut some more of this off because after I blasted it I got more holes. But man, what a nightmare this is. I'm gonna try to make it a little stronger than it was from stock, but anyway, I'm gonna get to it. All right guys, it is now Sunday, October 10th. It's getting close to lunchtime, but I have been out here working, so don't laugh. I got that dog leg pretty much knocked out now. It's not perfection. I could have went in there and kept on it with a DA really good. I probably could have put a new piece of DA paper on it and it'll look really nice. But these this little electric DA, I mean, it's all I got. But you know, those little discs, they don't last very long. Like 5 seconds and they're already, the edges are gone. It's just not a very, you know, good piece. But anyway, it was quite a bit of work. I mean, it's a pretty intricate piece to make, lots of areas to build and things to make work, but it'll work, you know. It ought to last at least a week, you know. But anyway, I drilled holes in this here, so this is all, and I put self-drilling screws in there to hold it together. But anyway, this is plug welded here. There's 3 plug welds here. There's 4 plug welds across down here. But you know, it doesn't look too bad for just being flat metal. I do have the radius pretty close to this one. I used a rat tail file here and pretty much worked that thing all different directions, but it's going to be great. It's just going to take a skim coat of filler and it should be good. But there are areas that I don't like right here. This is from the factory right here. I don't know if you can see that. See how far up that's riding? So that's the way the factory put the quarter together to the rocker. I don't like this. This is too high. When I was, you know, cutting some of that old crap out, I got a cut line right here in the rocker, so I had to go back and weld it up. So I lost the lead that was in here. That lead had a really big, steep, you know, incline to it right here. So what I think I'm going to do is go ahead and melt the lead out of here, and I'm going to go ahead and sheet metal it in. And this right here, I'm actually going to slice this right here, and then I'm going to hammer this flange here down to meet the rocker, and then just weld it all up and, you know, fill it up to where it's more level, because that is just terrible, you know what I mean? But the only thing that I didn't do that I should have, I just didn't do it. I should have actually took a piece of sheet metal strap and welded to this piece right here, you know, to have a piece coming this way so I could drill holes here and plug weld it, but I didn't. All I did was go in there and pretty much welded it all the way, you know, tack, 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 tack all the way down. But anyway, it's not like that from the factory. This panel is actually, you know, plug welded, or spot welded, I should say, to that piece. So what I did I just welded mine, but this up here doesn't match because it's open. So what I have done in the past to some of the 4-doors that I've owned and fixed up, I actually use seam sealer on this seam right here, because it's just a folded over steel flange onto that quarter, and it's a good spot for water to stay in and dirt. So I'm going to go ahead and put some seam sealer in it, and then just take my finger and run down it, so it should look, you know, pretty seamless and nice and flowy all the way up. I'll do both sides. I usually seam seal some of this stuff too, but anyway, I'm happy with it, man. It turned out pretty good. You know, it's not perfect, but I didn't spend any money, and that's a plus. So I haven't ground anything on the back side yet. I've got a lot of plug welds and stuff to grind. I've ordered a box of the Norton Blaze 2-inch discs, but they haven't come in yet, and so I'm going through my box of used ones, and I'm trying to find some that still have a little bit of meat on them, and then I'm trimming the edge off with tin snips, and I went through like 5 or 6 discs just to do that. But you know, some of these are they're already pretty worn, but I just always throw them in there because it always seems like I end up needing them for something, you know. So after this, and you know, after I get that piece and the rocker all done, I'm gonna move back here and work on this today, try to get this all knocked out. I found a spot here. I knocked some seam sealer out a while ago. There's just some remnants left. If you can see this panel right here, this is actually angled down, and this piece is over the top of it. So I'm going to take my cut-off wheel, and I'm basically going to slice that all the way through, and then hammer and dolly this back up straight to where this is nice and even, and then I'm going to weld it and then go in there and grind that. Then I got to weld that, and then I got to build patch panel inside and outside for this. And then when that's all done, I'm going to go through here and hammer and dolly this flange right here and get this all straightened out. I mean, there's a lot of work here. I never did finish grinding this. I still got to do a little bit more welding and grinding on this part, but if you remember, that side over there looked just like this one. But I'm getting there, man. You know, it's just metal work. Yeah, metal work is very time consuming, but you know, I'm just glad I didn't have to buy the patch panel for that. You know, the patch panel, if you buy one, it's probably not going to fit right anyway, so you're going to have to slice and dice it to make it work. So for me, I just, you know, built it out of sheet metal, out of 2 pieces, or 3 pieces technically. And well, there's more than that on the back side, but all the stuff I did on the back is the way the factory done it. And after I get done grinding it back there, it will look really, really good. It'll look like factory in the back side, so I'm pretty happy about that. But anyway, guys, I think I'm going to take a lunch break with the dog, and I'll see if I can get these videos to upload. So this is number 2 video right here. I just done the exact same video because I'm having a problem with loading these videos, man. They just, some of them just won't show up. They're just gray boxes. So I'm going to go in there and try to edit a video, and hopefully I have some stuff to show. But if you see something skip out, like I missed something, it's probably why the video didn't show up. But anyway, thanks for watching.